So unless you literally been living under a rock for the past 24 hours, you know the big news that shook the gaming industry. Hell, it might have even shook some things outside of the gaming industry. It was a historic announcement that Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard for an insane $68 billion. And that in and of itself is just mind-blowing. The Xbox brand to have Call of Duty, Overwatch, Warcraft, just to name a few underneath their belt is an absolute power move. If Microsoft obtaining Bethesda wasn't clear enough, with them getting Activision Blizzard, it just tells you without an absolute doubt, Microsoft and the Xbox are here to compete in the gaming space. And let's just be honest, Microsoft is using their deep pockets to compete. Listen, I'm not going to say Xbox has no games, but to say that they have an equal share of quality games that match with what PlayStation has to offer, I don't think it's really close personally, but that's a talk for another time. You know, it's funny, they say money can't buy everything, and it seems with this buyout, it's a nice example of this. If Microsoft and Xbox can afford to buy Activision Blizzard for an insane amount of money, why can't they just buy more talented developers to make games for them? I guess it's not that simple. Maybe Microsoft looked at that and said that's not a very viable option, there's too much risk there. You don't even know if you do indeed hire the best developers the world has to offer, it doesn't mean the game produced will be a hit or popular enough to have its own legs in the very long term. And this just says Microsoft is pretty much competing in the only way they know how for the Xbox brand, and that's just using their money. Make no mistake, the price of Game Pass will more than likely increase. But now there's a big question in the room, the question that everyone seems to be asking, the question that everyone in the room is turning their heads over and looking at the person on the other side of the room with curious looks in their eyes. What is Sony's response to this? Now, I'm seeing a lot of people saying they should be buying studios themselves, make some kind of big play move like Microsoft just did. I'm pretty sure Sony does have deep pockets, but nowhere near as deep as Microsoft does. Don't get me wrong, Sony does have money to buy other studios, but just not on that level that Microsoft can do for the Xbox. Another option is I'm seeing is for Sony to just, do as they've been doing, making really good games, and basically it ain't broke, so don't fix it type of move. Continue producing really good games that, resonate with everyone, and pretty much remaining in everybody's good graces, keeping them optics looking as good as possible. I'm not really sure what Sony is going to do, but let's entertain the idea of that Sony has to buy some studios to compete with Microsoft, seeing as they just took a bunch of major mainstream games that bite into their sales. You gotta assume that Microsoft is not making all these big power moves and spending all this money for their games to be multi-platform, to be available on the competition. Now, one of the studios that I constantly see on the list that Sony should acquire is Square Enix, along with some other Japanese or JRPG centered studios. And it's not really a bad idea. Square Enix has franchises like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and Kingdom Hearts, just to name a few. Having those only on the PlayStation platform would be huge. It was kinda already like that some years ago, but we've seen Final Fantasy along with Dragon Quest all come to various platforms. Square also has a bunch of other IPs under their belt that can easily make an acquisition like that worthwhile. Question is, would Square be willing to sell? Now, I think a game company like Square stands to gain more money being available across multiple platforms than just being exclusive to one. It's one of the reasons when Final Fantasy 13 back in the day was revealed to be coming to Xbox, it was such a big deal. That, and probably because Microsoft probably slipped them the bag. But ever since, we've seen franchises that was once PlayStation only for Square Enix go to other consoles and other platforms. Now with PlayStation, they will still have the market along with the Switch when it comes to the install base, and if they can ever figure out how to fix the chip shortage the PS5 has, it will probably see the same success sales wise as the PS4. I'm not sure if Sony should buy Square Enix. It would be a nice acquisition for them and something worth talking about, but question is, could Sony really take the chance to buy a company as big as Square, and if Square would even want to sell at all, which is something We just don't know. If you told me a week ago that Activision Blizzard was in talks with Microsoft for a buyout, I would have called you crazy. No one saw this coming. What exactly happened to all the insiders that know this stuff beforehand? Now, besides Square Enix, should Sony be buying up other Japanese game developers or JRPG studios? When it comes to JRPG studios and the games, they aren't exactly all that profitable. I mean, they are just not up to what you expect from a big mainstream company. The biggest ones I can think of off the top of my head are Capcom. I guess they have Street Fighter and various others, and Monster Hunter, which has been seeing great success the past couple of years. Then you have Bandai Namco. They got Tales of and a whole bunch of other anime games underneath their belt. Those anime games might not be all that great, but to have that anime fan base needing a PlayStation to get their games, hey, it works out somehow. Somebody's making money from that. But again, would they be up to a buyout? And does Sony have that money to buy them like that? You gotta believe Capcom and Bandai would be huge. Oh, Capcom also has Resident Evil. That would be monumentous for a PlayStation to only have Resident Evil. But again, does Sony's pockets run that deep? And with buying Japanese or JRPG studios, Sony would have to get back into the good graces of sorts with some fans. Sony's recent handling of anime-based games has lost some of that audience with its constant need to censor games on their platform. And not only do a lot of people not agree with Sony's censorship, but some Japanese developers don't like it either. So that would have to be one of the things that Sony would have to course correct, if you will, if they start buying Japanese studios. Again, I'm not sure what Sony should do, but it stands to reason that they will probably end up doing something, making a move at some point. What do you guys think Sony should do? Remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys next time.